Quote, "And so P.F. Slider, the man's screen name, became my everyday life. All the tangible stuff fell away. My body did not exist. I had no skin, no hair, no bones. All desire had converted itself into a cerebral current that reached nothing but my frontal lobe. There was no outdoors, no social life, no weather. There was only the computer screen and the phone, my chair, and maybe a glass of water." Close quote. Now, in contrast, we need to heed the admonition of Paul that every one of you should know how to possess his vessel in sanctification and honor. Consider again the example I mentioned earlier of a young couple recently married in the house of the Lord. An immature or misguided spouse may devote an inordinate amount of time to playing video games, chatting online, or in other ways allowing the digital to dominate things as they really are. Initially, the investment of time may seem relatively harmless, rationalized as a few minutes of needed relief from the demands of a hectic daily schedule. But important opportunities are missed for developing and improving interpersonal skills, for laughing and crying together, and for creating a rich and enduring bond of emotional intimacy. Progressively, seemingly innocent entertainment can become a form of pernicious enslavement. To feel the warmth of a tender hug from an eternal companion, or to see the sincerity in the eyes of another person as testimony is shared, all of these things experienced as they really are through the instrument of our physical body could be sacrificed for a high-fidelity fantasy that has no lasting value. If you and I are not vigilant, we can become past feeling, as did Laman and Lemuel long ago. Let me provide another example of disconnecting gradually and physically from things as they really are. Today, a person can enter into a virtual world such as Second Life and assume a new identity. An individual can create an avatar or a cyberspace persona that conforms to his or her own appearance and behavior. Or a person can concoct a counterfeit identity that does not correlate in any way to things as they really are. However closely the assumed new identity approximates the individual, such behavior is the essence of things as they really are not. Earlier, I defined the fidelity of a simulation or model. I now emphasize the importance of personal fidelity, the correspondence between an actual person and an assumed cyberspace identity. Please note the lack of personal fidelity in the following episode as reported in the Wall Street Journal. Quote, "Rick Hugestrat is a burly 53-year-old man with a long gray ponytail, thick sideburns, and a salt and pepper handlebar mustache. Rick spends 6 hours a night and often 14 hours at a stretch on weekends as Dutch Hurenbeek, his 6'9" muscular cyber self. The character looks like a younger, physically enhanced version of Rick. He sits at his computer with the blinds drawn, while his wife, Sue, watches television in the living room. Mr. Hugestrat chats online with what appears on the screen to be a tall, slim redhead. He's never met the woman outside of the computer world of Second Life, a well-chronicled digital fantasy land. He's never so much as spoken to her on the telephone. But their relationship has taken on curiously real dimensions. They own 2 dogs and pay a mortgage together and spend hours in their cyberspace world shopping at the mall and taking long motorcycle rides. Their bond is so strong that 3 months ago, Mr. Hugestrat asked Janet Spielman, the 38-year-old Canadian woman who controls the redhead, to become his virtual wife. The woman he's legally wed to is not amused. It's really devastating, says Sue Hugestrat, who's been married to Mr. Hugestrat for 7 months. Close quote. Now, brothers and sisters, please understand, I am not suggesting all technology is inherently bad. It is not. Nor am I saying we should not use its many capabilities in appropriate ways to learn, to communicate, to lift and brighten lives, and to build the church. Of course we should. But I am raising a warning voice that we should not squander and damage authentic relationships by obsessing over contrived ones. Nearly 40% of men and 53% of women who play online games said that their virtual friends were equal to or better than their real-life friends, according to a survey of 30,000 gamers conducted by a recent PhD graduate from Stanford University. More than a quarter of gamers who responded indicated that the emotional highlight of the past week occurred in a computer world. How important, how enduring, and how timely is the Lord's definition of truth. Things as they really are. The prophet Alma asked, "Oh, then, is not this real?" He was speaking of light and good so discernible they can be tasted. Indeed, they who dwell in the Father's presence see as they are seen, and know as they are known, having received of his fullness and of his grace. My beloved brothers and sisters, beware. To the extent personal fidelity decreases in computer-mediated communications, and the purposes of such communications are distorted, perverted, and wicked, the potential for spiritual disaster is dangerously high. I implore you to turn away immediately and permanently from such places and activities.